Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to WNY High School Football Weekly. I am Frank Wolf, your host, joined by my tag team partner, as always, Tom Prince. And we are here to talk about everything high school football, from Section 6 to Monsignor Martin and everything in between. Tom, it was another fantastic week of high school football. You had your hands full from one high school field to the next. Where did you start last week anyways? You started
Salamanca.
Wasn't Springville?
Technically, yeah, you're right, during the week. So it was Springville. We started on Monday. Wasn't that a Monday game?
Harry's going to kill us.
Yeah, I think it was that was Monday. We did Springville
Yeah.
and Newfane. Then Thursday we went down to Salamanca for Salamanca Fredonia. That was a great game. Friday we were at Iroquois for the Iroquois Pioneer game, which was another great game.
Mm-hmm.
And then finished it off at Saturday for St. Francis for the St. Francis Archbishop Hoban game.
So you got around. I don't remember what I did. I remember being at Sweet Home. I remember Sweet Home winning. I was supposed to be manning a camera. I did an absolutely horrible job of doing that. So if you were watching,
was that the North Tonawanda one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I'll tell you what. I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of these games, but the Sweet Home North Tonawanda game, NT I think had the ball for the entire first quarter. I remember that. But then Sweet Home took over, and it was pretty much Sweet Home after that. Two teams that were getting after it. Ground game was working pretty good, and Sweet Home has a couple of real nice players that kind of changed the tempo of that game. Our buddy Dion was back. Was it DR? DR.
Yep.
He's back on the field. Didn't get the chance to do much. I know he's banged up. He's playing through some injuries, and I don't remember where I was Friday. If anyone can remember seeing me Friday, where was I Friday? I don't remember.
Did you do Jamestown?
That's where I was, Jamestown. Good memory.
Yep.
Doing Jamestown again Friday versus Hamburg. I'm on that production side.
That's going to be a great one. All right, that should be a great one.
Yep. I know on today's show we got Tyler Baker from Canisius going to join us for a little bit. And I think that's it for special guests. This week we're going to talk about some of those Trench Trophy guys. We're going to talk about some of the Connolly Cup nominees from this past week. Our Logistics Plus Freak of the Week will be nominating another one.
A couple guys up for that one, yeah.
Yeah, Ben Coachella from Orchard Park won that last week. Are we getting those trophies? What's going on with Tony Martin? Are they on the ball?
No, it's not them on the ball. I got to get them some information, so I'm going to take the blame for this one. It's not Tony Martin. It's been trying to do so much, and I got to get those taken care of. It's on my to-do list. So,
well, here's something that we need to talk about. How about the new gear that we got from Ad Pro Sports? You're looking good, buddy. You're looking good. You're about to go play 18 holes.
There you go. I'm ready.
So Ad Pro, thank you very much for the gear, and they've been on board with WNY Athletics for the last few years, and I've got last year, 2 years ago stuff on.
No, that was last year's, wasn't it?
This was last year.
Yeah, the black was the 2 years ago one.
Okay, black was 2 years ago.
Yeah. That was the one we had last that was new.
Yeah.
And this is the newest version.
Okay. All right. I got to get.
And there's a gray one, too, that also some have with this. There's red and gray.
There's blue.
Yeah. The blue is this one.
Is it? This isn't the new one, though.
No. That's the one we had before. But I think you still had some leftover ones.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll give one to Baker when he comes in. Fredonia had a big win this past week. Over Salamanca. You were there. We'll talk about that one when we get down into our C division. They got another tough one, though, coming up, Southwestern. That's a team. Well, I got a chance to work with John Kinder last Friday in Jamestown, and they had the week off, but I know they are licking their chops to get into Hillbilly Nation. It's a game at the Orange Bowl in Fredonia. So
one of the best entrances in Western New York.
It is. Southwestern's got a good entrance, too, though.
Agreed. I'm just. That's why I say one. I'm not saying it's the only one.
Southwestern does that coming down the hill, but it's wide open.
Yep.
Fredonia comes down the hill, but it's like coming out of the woods.
Yeah, it's just really cool.
I
always get so excited when I see that because I would always wonder what that would be like to come down that hill, and knowing me, I'd be the one tumbling down the hill into there. So, but
I came down the hill with some gear one time, thinking I was going to take a tumble. I didn't. God bless. Thank God.
But really is something. But I'm telling you, we're going to talk about Nick Whitfield, though. I mean, he is the real deal and really did some great things as far as Fredonia was concerned.
He's been doing stuff all year, and I wasn't sure how much he had progressed from that first time we saw him in Lancaster 7-on-7 a few years ago to now. And watching those highlights from Salamanca and the way he was able to extend plays, that was not the same quarterback I saw at 7-on-7. And I'll be the first to admit, Tom, coming into the season, I didn't know how much better he has gotten. And I will tell you, he has gotten much better this year, noticeably better than even last year. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's much better footwork. That was, to me, that was like the big question mark with Nick. And we're not picking on any player. We're singing his praises here.
And we're doing that saying, here's a kid who went and worked hard, obviously, in the offseason, and it's now showing everything on the field. There was one play that he ran to the sideline and leaps in the air to throw the ball because he's got a height advantage as it is over everybody. Yeah. But he leaps in the air so he can get his arm up over the player and make a throw into the end zone for a touchdown. I couldn't believe it. It was an ESPN-type highlight reel. The kid's the real deal, and he's proving it out there on the field.
Not too many quarterbacks that have come through Western New York can make that play.
Yep.
And he did. So as long as he's protected, Fredonia may turn some heads as we go further and further along here. Now, they have that big one against Southwestern. And that team has started to hit their stride. They're getting better each week. You know, they had that game at Iroquois that you did, and they lose at the end. And then they have the hiccup against Salamanca.
Which was a tight game, too.
That was a tight game.
One-point game.
Yeah, so a one-possession game there, and then they started to win, right? And maybe they had a hiccup with COVID, not them, but another team couldn't play, but they're starting to pick it up again. So keep your eye on that Class C right now between Fredonia, Medina, obviously.
No doubt. And I'm still not counting Salamanca out of that either.
And you still can't count Salamanca. One bad week, no teams. I've seen CSP. We've seen CSP lose in the regular season only to go out and hit their stride and go win the state title. So
and they look good against the St. Mary's team. Look very good. Showed defensively how strong they really are.
I don't know what happened there. You know me. I'm as big a fan of CSP as anyone out there. I don't know how they won that game. You read Miggy's article on Friday, heading into the weekend, about how good they are up front. St. Mary's, I'm talking. And I saw CSP the week before against Randolph, and to me, they didn't look in championship form. Okay? I mean, you don't have Hinsdale and Barmore. They're missing some of those.
You got Hinsdale.
You do have a little Hinsdale, yes. Well, by the time I got there, he was already knocked out of the game because of that little incident they had where he got kicked in the face.
2 interceptions.
2 interceptions.
2 interceptions for little Hinsdale.
We found
we shouldn't be calling him Little Hinsdale. He's earning his own stripes right now. So
medium size Hinsdale.
And we're only teasing with
Bryce. You're our buddy. We love you, buddy. But I don't know what happened with that St. Mary's. Was that too long of a bus ride? Maybe. Maybe you lose focus.
I mean,
and then you turn over the ball.
Turnovers happen. It's part of the game. But the question is, can you limit them or can you overcome them? And obviously, they couldn't limit the turnovers, and that's really the biggest difference in this game.
So out of that game, you had Trayvon Kopta, a Trench Trophy nominee for this past week against St. Mary's, and then another guy from CSP, Trench Burchanowski. He's the one that had the return kickoff. I think he also had a pick six in that game or punt return, but he was on the County Cup list this week. So I mean, they turned some heads and they erased whatever they were. Whatever happened against Randolph, they quickly forgot and took it out on St. Mary's. And I expected it to go the other way because we had seen St. Mary's start to really get publicized. And rightfully so. They're playing good enough. That offensive line they have they're a bunch of monsters up there. They're huge. And the running game is, you have a guy in there that might rush for 1,000 yards this year. 2,000 maybe. Who knows? So that was a surprising game to me. Why don't we do this? Before we really get into things, why don't we take a quick break, come back after you hear from one of our sponsors. We'll be back in just a moment.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com, ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. A few clicks will show you the sales price you can expect for your home. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. So if it's time to sell your home, visit howardhanna.com today, and we'll match you with a local Howard Hanna agent to sell your home fast.
I love being home.
care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you. Western New York Immediate Care provides quick, quality care for non-emergent injuries and illnesses. Go to wnyImmediatecare.com for more information.
Evening, everybody. Welcome back to WNY High School Football. This is our Week 6 edition. I want to give a shout-out to one of our photographers, Sean Turry, who's been on the sideline turning in a ton of pics for us. He was at the Sweet Home North Tonawanda game, so I'll get those pics up online. And he's also starting to get pics of some of the officials and coaches on the sideline. We want to start recognizing more officials and some of the coaches. You know, you know the name. You know the guy that coaches at South Park, but you know Tim Delaney. I got pictures of Tim Delaney now and things of that nature. So you can kind of put a name with a face. I think that's important. It'd be nice so that some of our people that love high school football can start to see some of these coaches. We had the guy from Depew. He had a couple nice pictures of. Who's that guy out of Depew? Not...
and I should know. Oh, my God. I feel so bad. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Me too. We had Brent, Coach B from Randolph the week before. The poor Depew coach. We're sorry, buddy.
And right when I see it, I'm going to go,
Out of mind, out of sight, out of mind, Tom. That's all it is. That's all. Out of sight, out of mind. But we're going to come back to that. But I wanted to talk about some of the other things that we're doing here at WNY Athletics. We're starting to get more volleyball games in. You saw a couple volleyball games the last couple of weeks. We did one last night. Girls volleyball action. We did some. We've done some soccer. We had some boys and girls soccer this past week.
Mark DiRenzo. I apologize. I should have known that right off the top of my head. Mark's son has played baseball with my son. Mark, I'm so sorry. I apologize about that. It just I literally had a memory loss there. I apologize, Mark.
These things happen. Let's start rolling into some of these Section 6. I know that touchdown TD Baker has entered the building, so we're going to get Tyler on because he's probably got to go home and get something to eat. They just got done with practice. He's got to be starving. Do you think he stopped somewhere on the way over?
I know I would have.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If
I just finished practice, I'm stopping to get something.
If you're Tyler Baker, where would you stop? Where would you have stopped for dinner on the way over?
Real quick,
DeBella's? Ted's?
No.
Anderson's?
No. If he did, it was more like a Mighty Taco Bell type stop.
I'm going to go with Five Guys. I think he stopped at Five Guys Burger before he got We'll ask him.
Did he stop and eat? All right, if he did get a chance, where was he going to go?
Baker's behind the glass. Elmwood Taco Subs, ETS. That's a North Buffalo. That's a Canisius thing.
That's close to what I said, though. I mean, I say the Mighty Taco.
That place. Somebody at Canisius must own that place. That's what it is. That's what it is. I'll give him. I'm going to bust his chops when he gets in here. He wouldn't have said Curry's.
There you go.
Anyways, Tom, you got a front row seat to the Bennett Lancaster game.
Well, I didn't get a front row seat, but I do know what happened. I wasn't at that game. No, I wasn't at the Bennett Lancaster game.
Oh, you were at Orchard Park.
I was at Orchard Park. Okay. No, I wasn't at that game. I was actually at Iroquois Pioneer.
Right.
My son was playing in the Orchard Park game, but I wasn't there. I covered the Iroquois Pioneer game. But what a game that Bennett Lancaster game. Started out, Bennett goes up 24-0. Lancaster comes raring back to tie it up 24-24, and then Bennett goes on a run to finish it off 48-24, where it was 24 unanswered both ways. Unbelievable. The stat to me of the week right there was Bennett doesn't even complete a pass in this game and still puts up 48 points. They're led by Dominic Allen, 18 carries for 308 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Torrey Anderson, 14 carries, 150 yards and a touchdown. 2 big tacklers, Jamario Tolliver, 15, Rashard Perry, 12 tackles, 3 sacks in this one. And then Lancaster was led by Micah Harry, 36 carries, 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. But it just shows, we've talked about it, this running attack for Bennett is tough to stop. They've got a good line this year. They can run behind that line. We saw them in the first half against Orchard Park have this type of success that we're talking here against Lancaster. We saw the only team that really even remotely, I would say, slow them down was Clarence.
Yep.
But even then, they still put up 30-something points in that game. So when I say remotely, I say that, tongue-in-cheek, because they really have put up these kind of points against anybody.
Now, Lancaster's had deep backfields. They've brought deep backfields to the stadium only to get away from the running game for God knows what reason against Lancaster. So, will Bennett continue to run the ball? Right now, it's the key to the success for that team. They play great defense. You got one of the best defensive players in Western New York, who's only a junior, and you've got one of the best running games in Western New York right now, if not the best running game.
Yeah.
Will Bennett stick to their guns and keep that philosophy going? Will that carry them through Section 6 into Highmark Stadium and leave with the Section 6 Class AA title? We'll have to wait and see.
Very rarely do we see a team, though, that's one-dimensional, right, go all the way. I think the last time we saw it was, remember when Dunkirk went and won the one down there? I think they ran the ball threw the ball one time, I think it was, the whole game. You don't see a lot of that. Normally, you're going to need to at least to go to something.
Cleve Hill's gotten far with the nothing but a running game.
But again, there's something sprinkled in there, right? Just to keep you honest type thing. That'll be the question is, do you get away against every team not being able to have to throw the ball? Or I think they threw the ball 3 times. I think it was 0 for 3 is all that was.
West Seneca East just a couple years.
Yep.
Couldn't throw the ball.
And I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Game,
right.
But if they could throw the ball, you might have a shot in that. Who'd they play?
West, right?
West Seneca East. Who'd they play in the state championship?
Oh, they played. No. They played Carthage in the state championship.
No, they played your school.
Oh, Cornwall. That was the year I wasn't there. Remember? Because I was out of town that year.
School.
Yes, it was. It's my alma mater.
Yes. Well, I think that kid is back this year too. That quarterback. I think this is.
I don't know if he is. He either was last year or this year. I can't remember which one it was.
He was a sophomore when I was there. He was a sophomore the year I was out there. So that's 2 years ago. I think he's a senior this year. We'll have to keep our eyes on Cornwall.
When we were out there but you were out there when he was a freshman, right?
Maybe he was a freshman.
I was a sophomore when he played Carthage.
Okay.
We had then, obviously, last year was COVID.
Yeah.
So I think this is his senior year.
Okay, good. Hopefully we get to see him. Enough talking about those teams from downstate and guys who graduated there. It doesn't make any sense to keep talking about them while we're on a Western New York show. So, again, Bennett gets revenge on Lancaster. They had that game circled all year. Now what do they do the rest of the year? Do they continue trying to stay healthy and keep climbing through? They haven't had real big games in AA. I mean, they've got that game at Highmark against Hodgestack. I mean, who else do they have on their schedule? They've already beaten Clarence, Bennett, and then they dropped to Orchard Park. Is there any other teams in AA that threaten Bennett right now?
I don't think that threatened them, no.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think they've done the gauntlet and went 2-1 against the gauntlet right there.
And depending on what Orchard Park does the rest of the year.
Well, Orchard Park's big games this week. They get the Clarence game now right now.
So do they have a chance, though, to have the home field advantage?
I think from what I understand, the way it's been figured out right now is when you look at point differential, right, that Bennett right now would land as the number 1 right now.
Okay.
Then Lancaster would be the 2. Orchard Park would be the 3.
Okay.
Do not quote me on this, but but when you think of all the points against, I think Bennett's got the best right now point differential, which makes them the 1 seed. Then you go back to the 2 other ones, right, that are tied, which Lancaster's got the head-to-head win. Lancaster becomes 2. Orchard Park becomes 3.
Okay.
And again, and I apologize, Clarence is still in this mix too, right? So, and then Clarence could obviously change that this week with a big win over Orchard Park, but it would be Clarence in that 3 or 4 position.
Well, Lancaster is a plus 63 in the differential, plus 40 it looks like.
Okay, what is Bennett?
Plus 37.
Okay, but I want to say it's the point differential against the teams that are tied.
Okay.
Again, don't quote me. This was people that have been putting it together. But that was the last I had heard that somebody had said. But, again, please, this is just me.
We're just talking.
Yeah, just shooting the breeze
We'll get
with
Sirianni and Stolt on the line and get them 2 heavyweights figured out.
And we wouldn't even want to figure it out before this week's game because Clarence is going to have something to say about this.
For sure.
Yep.
A Paul Bergio coach team, they're not down and out at all. And I think one of their guys got on the trench this week. Was it the quarterback from Clarence that finally made it? Well, Scott Raymond did. No, the quarterback was on last week. Scott Raymond gets on this past week. So 2 Clarence guys back to back.
Scott Raymond, too. Not only did he have a big game running the ball, listen to some of the stats that came from Raymond. Raymond actually runs the ball for, I have it right here, 14 carries, 102 yards, a touchdown, a reception for 33 yards and a touchdown, and 17 tackles he had in the game. Unbelievable stats right there from Raymond. Obviously, why we saw him do what he did. Before we leave, and I know we're going to leave here, I want to stick with the Troubled A's for 1 second. I want to give some recognition to Orchard Park. Ben Casella does it again. 161 yards, 6 for 7, 3 touchdowns. A big name that their running attack started to come up, and I really want to recognize this kid's such a good kid. Simon Boncaldo actually carried the ball 10 times, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns in this one. The 2 receivers, which right now are right now 1 and 3 in Western New York, is Dylan Evans, 3 receptions, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Keegan Mancabelli, 2 receptions, 6 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And on the up-and-comer on the defense side, Nick Politowski gets 5.5 tackles and a sack in this one for Orchard Park. The junior actually comes up big.
Okay.
As they win. Yeah, 42-8 over Hutchtack.
And Evans finally got on the Connolly Cup. That was nice to see his name get on there. They've been trying. I know they've been trying to get him on there, and he finally had a big day.
He's had tons of big days, but a day where it wasn't cluttered with a lot of other good days, right? Yes. And I think there's still one name that I think that I haven't seen yet, that I think we're gonna hopefully get a chance to see. And I know he didn't. He had the touchdown, had a big play. Is for Iroquois. Is the wide receiver for Iroquois right there, and that is why am I blanking on my boy's name right there? I'm doing horrible with names today. It is Nate Mccoldrick. Nate Mccoldrick is the next name.
Since week one,
looking
since week one, they've been trying to. He's on the radar.
Yeah, he really is been a main target. And if you look at it, he right now is Mccoldrick, the 6th top wide receiver right now in Western New York. Look at the touchdowns. Dylan Evans right now considerably above everybody, but he's second right now with 8.
Nice
for wide receivers.
To me, Evans is a top 5 wide receiver in high school football in this area right now. He's got a lot of tools, and I'm very high on Evans right now.
He should be. I mean, he's running great. He's the kid.
And, I mean, Mancabelli's no slouch.
No, listen, Mancabelli right now has got the speed, and he's doing the other things added into it, right? He's doing all the special team stuff to add it into it, to really add into some of the stats that he's doing right there. But when you're talking about when you need that one ball to go down, especially in the red zone where it's the hardest to score, you know you can throw that up to Dylan, and Dylan's going to find a way to catch it.
You're absolutely right. We're going to roll into A's real quick, and then we're going to bring in Mr. Baker. A's, we saw Jamestown get some revenge on South Park. They got a big win last Friday night. I'll tell you, though, that running back Fulgham for South Park is, I mean, we talk a lot about Jalen Butera, who was also named the homecoming king before that game. Maybe at halftime they did it, whenever they did the ceremony. He's a homecoming king. He was the best player on the field, but Fulgham wasn't too far behind.
Fulgham, 24 carries, 140 yards and a touchdown. And then Butera, 28 carries, 192 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yes, every time he turned around, he was scoring a touchdown. Yep. So Jamestown, they got Hamburg this week. What's South Park doing? They got West Seneca West or Frontier they got?
South Park isn't South.
They got Frontier.
I want to say it may be West. What? I don't want to. We'll pull it up and give it to you.
Yeah, Frontier.
Okay.
7 p.m. That's a huge game for them. Because South Park, Tom, to me right now can't afford to lose another game, or they may not see themselves into the postseason. Well, they have to run. They have to really. I mean, they're 2-3 in league play, and I thought
you got Jamestown right now league play winning 4-0. Frontier's 4-1.
Yeah.
Hamburg's 3-1. Will South is 3-2. South Park 2-3. West 2-3, and then Williamsville East 0-4 and Amherst 0-4.
So Williamsville East and Amherst are probably done. But looking at South Park, they're at Frontier this Friday, and then they have Hamburg at home on the 14th, and then they play Lockport. in a game that's not gonna. I don't think that has. Any.
And remember, right now the team right ahead of them, South Park, has got a loss to Will South right there.
Right.
So you're going to have to leapfrog them if you're tied with them in a head-to-head.
And they got a big game this week at West Seneca West. I think Will South will prevail there. They're just firing on all cylinders right now, and they got things going the way Coach Krasinski's got he's done a really good job with that team. And Tom, were they not? They lost to Jamestown earlier in the year. They came down to the end.
Came back, roaring back. But I'll tell you, a win for Will South, over West, could pretty much almost clinch them because they're going to have wins over those two teams that are trying to get up in there.
Very true. So this is tough goings for South Park the rest of the way. They have to beat Frontier and Hamburg to have a legit shot. They need a little bit of help. But it's still a very good football team.
That win over Hamburg this week, Will South that had 28-22 over Hamburg, could have been right now the game that saved it for them, giving Hamburg their first loss in conference, first loss period even, right? But this kid Dewar, running the ball, unbelievable. 16 carries, 160 yards, a touchdown. He had 2 receptions for 24 yards. But Hamburg led this game by we've heard a lot with their running back. This time they were led by their quarterback. 7 for 17, 120 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, then carried the ball 12 times for 51 yards and 2 TDs.
Okay. Yeah, so that's South Park. They got to beat Frontier. Hamburg, what does Hamburg get this week? Do we know who Hamburg?
Hamburg will take on Jamestown.
Right.
Yep.
Hamburg, Jamestown. So, and Hamburg has one loss already. If Jamestown wins this week and South Park beats Hamburg, then things get really interesting, Tom.
Yeah.
So South Park not out of it just yet. They got to win this week at Frontier, take care of business, and then we could focus on that Hamburg a little more and see where the chips fall at that point. Another couple good A teams right now. We talked about Will South and Hamburg.
Yeah. Hamburg's got to go South Park, then Frontier.
Yeah, so they got they're running that gauntlet now too. Hamburg is right now. They're in the tough span of their season. They had a little bit of a hiccup against Amherst. They come back and win, but still, Hamburg showed that they're vulnerable too.
Hey, Frontier almost had that same hiccup right against Amherst.
They did.
They came back in the fourth quarter to win that game for them for a big win. Frontier to stay where they are as they come back to win 24-21 in that one. Lippert, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dylan Mack, 121 yards on the ground, a touchdown. Monaco, 97 yards. And Borello, 72 yards receiving and a touchdown. Unbelievable. This is one of the first games for Amherst that we heard other people having a big game. Their quarterback, Michael Dickinson, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Mark Testa, had 6 receptions, 112 yards, and a touchdown receiving for Amherst. And then McDuffie, 3 receptions, 49 yards, a touchdown, and then carried the ball for 46 yards.
Up in the north, Grand Island is 4-1. They had the hiccup against Orchard Park. They went up and played a game.
That's not a hiccup against Orchard Park.
I know, but still a blemish. It's still a loss. They're 3-0 in league play right now. They got Lockport this week, Tom. To me, that's a huge game on Friday night. I'm not sure who's going out there for WNY Athletics, but we're going to send someone out to monitor that one. That's a huge one. Grand Island Lockport this week. Lockport is now 3-1 in the league, 3-2 overall. But they're sitting in a great spot to capture one of those A North playoff spots. Start Point. They lose to Grand Island last week, Tom, but they had a win just the other day. Sweet Home 4-1 overall, 3-1 in the league. Sweet Home they're at McKinley this week at All High game that we're doing on Saturday. John Simon on the call, Ken West. They get North Tonawanda this week. Things are looking interesting right there. You got like a 5-team race here. Unless McKinley can beat Sweet Home this weekend.
McKinley played very well against Star Point. That was a very good game. And
you were there.
And we'll absolutely see. They got a wide receiver right there, 6'6". I'm telling you, if they get this kid to find a way to get this kid the ball even more, he is going to be a difference maker. There's no doubt about it. But I'll tell you, the matchup, Jason Green right now for Lockport has been doing a ton, right? He threw 315 yards, 4 touchdowns against Niagara Whitfield. Nice. And then on the other side for Grand Island, you got Justin Horvath right now, who is the real deal. We've been talking about him all season. This is going to be a great matchup right there, those two quarterbacks going head-to-head.
All right, well, why don't we do this? We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have touchdown Tyler Baker from Canisius join me. Tom Prince is going to go behind the mall and do some producing work, whatever you do back there. We'll be back after a word from our sponsor. You're watching WNY High School Football Weekly.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com, ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. A few clicks will show you the sales price you can expect for your home. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. So if it's time to sell your home, visit howardhanna.com today, and we'll match you with a local Howard Hanna agent to sell your home fast.
I love being home.
If you've been injured in an auto accident, large or small, call 681-4088. RES Physical Medicine and Rehab right away. If you are in pain or just sore, don't take chances. Call RES today and take advantage of their 24 to 48-hour appointment pledge. With no copays, RES will help navigate the confusing world of no-fault insurance with you, so you can concentrate on getting better. 681-4088. RES Physical Medicine and Rehab. The most important call you can make after an auto accident.
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you. Western New York Immediate Care provides quick, quality care for non-emergent injuries and illnesses. Go to wnyImmediatecare.com for more information.
Welcome back to WNY High School Football Weekly. Frank Wolf, Tom Prince, and we are joined by Canisius quarterback and senior Tyler Baker. Touchdown Baker, they call you?
Yeah, ever since I was 5, they called me that, yeah.
Where did you start playing? Like, where did you grow up, and where did you play, like, Little League football and all that?
In Lockport.
Just talk about where you started, what teams you played for and that kind of thing. And what was your most – were you always a quarterback?
Yes, yeah. So I started at Lockport Little Loop when I was 5 years old. I played there all the way up until, 11, 12 years old. Then I played JV for Lockport in 8th grade. And then that's when I transferred to Canisius my freshman year.
And you decided to join me today because you were going to reveal where you're playing next year? Was that it?
Oh, no, I'm not sure yet.
Tom, I almost had him.
I was going to say, you got to give him a little credit for that one, right?
Yeah.
Sneak that in. I wasn't sure if I was going to start the earlier or in the late, but why did you ultimately decide to go to Canisius? What was it about that school that said, I belong here?
Well, yeah, I saw all the success that they had in the previous years in Kenyatta Houston from Lockport. He went to Canisius. He transferred there his junior year, and he lit it up there. He went to Central Connecticut. So I kind of wanted to follow in his path, obviously being from Lockport. And I just Coach Robbins. He showed me around the school. We just had fun. I mean, I shadowed there, and we had really fun on the shadow day. And I just kind of fell in love with the school, and kind of thought that's where I was going to be the next 4 years.
Last year, your junior year, heading into your junior year, you toured some schools, and now you're touring even more schools.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you who's got the leg up, but how does it make you feel when these coaches from these big-time schools, programs are contacting you about your future and inviting you down to, watch a game or take a tour of the campus? Who's blown you away so far as far as quarterback coaches who have contacted you to invite you into camp?
Yeah, a lot of the schools recruited me. I'm talking to Indiana, West Virginia. I got offers from Monmouth, Columbia, Robert Morrison, Penn, and I visited most of those schools, and I really enjoyed the time at each one of them. And I think one of the coolest things was heading down to New Jersey and going to Monmouth. Mm-hmm. It's just, for instance, FCS school, you wouldn't really expect too much out of it, but I went down there and it just blew me away. The facilities, same thing with Robert Morris too. You just don't expect those places to be that nice. So I really love those schools, and I really want to go out to a couple more games. I got invited to Syracuse, St. Francis University, and a couple other schools. They want me to come out for a game, so I gotta put that together and get a schedule going.
Now, is your favorite all-time school Notre Dame?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
What would it be like if Notre Dame called? Come on, we're just rapping here, but, can you imagine if, Coach B picked up the phone and just called you? Would that just blow you away?
Yeah, that would be the craziest thing ever.
Have you ever been to Notre Dame on the campus?
Yeah,
okay.
I've been there. I went to a couple camps there, too.
Nice.
Yeah,
all the camps you've gone to, what's been the nicest one you've been to, Notre Dame?
Yeah, definitely by far. Notre Dame, it was the coolest camp by far.
So listen, I'm the Syracuse fan on this side, right?
Yeah.
Though I will say, when you get into that dome and that dome gets rocking the way it used to be,
Yeah.
I'll tell you that's a visit you want to see if that dome's rocking at full capacity.
Yeah, I definitely want to. I definitely want to go down there. I've never been to I've never been there, so that's definitely somewhere I want to get to.
Yeah, inside it. Listen, if it shakes in basketball, right, and it's only got 30,000, imagine what it does when it's got football at full capacity.
Yeah, it's. I know it's crazy down there.
Hey, Tyler, we got a question for you. You started out probably as a younger quarterback, more of a running style quarterback, right? Every younger quarterback does that as they're learning schemes, right? So you've now progressed into the quarterback you've gotten today. Talk about that progression and what have you had to work on the most to get to the point where you're at now?
Well, yeah, just coming in, I feel like I felt like I was just throwing out to the dogs. We went down to Euclid and I actually rushed for like 200 yards. They were number 100 in the country. So I've definitely progressed over time in the pocket. That's what I really wanted to work on the last 2 years, just being better in the pocket. So just training in the off season with Coach Kubiak, Coach Kinder, and my teammates. We just really wanted to get great in the pocket, and obviously I can use my legs whenever I need. So that was a huge improvement since sophomore year. Being able to throw in the pocket, stay in the pocket.
Coming into this season here, what was one thing that you really had to work on heading into your senior season? Like, what is one of the mechanics, if you will, that you knew I really need to start paying attention to this part of my game or what have you? What was one thing these quarterback coaches worked with you on?
Yeah, just being in the pocket, also in just the ability to know the protections in the defensive front. So I think sophomore year, I really just went out there and played the game. I didn't really know like the offensive protections and stuff like that. So from the spring season to my senior season, just knowing the protections and who's picked up and who's not, and when I'm hot, when I'm not. So I feel like that was the biggest thing I learned over the summer, and I feel like now I just basically know where to go with the ball and what to do.
Tom's big thing is the line play. Those guys in the trenches.
Yeah.
You guys turn over the line. I mean, you got guys that come into Canisius and then they're walking away at a D1 school somewhere, or, high-level D3, whatever. Just talk about some of the guys that are protecting you and your relationship with your line.
Yeah, well, I love all those guys, so I'll just name them out. We got David Eugenio, Kevin Nelson, Milan Malakovic, and Jake Burke and Gavin Sussfolk, and those guys they're all beasts down there. I mean, they're constantly.
Who eats the most on the line? Who's got the biggest appetite?
Man, I'm gonna say Milan or Big Kev. Kevin Nelson, Big Kev.
All right.
I love that you know those names.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people will not be able to know that every name out there. You knew them. You rattle them off like right on the top of your head. That's awesome, and that's good recognition right there. And I'm going to tell you, your line's going to appreciate you even more for that.
Yeah, those are my guys. I love those guys.
Now, there's this other quarterback in the family. Why don't you talk about this guy?
Yeah, my little brother, yeah. Well, he finally got his opportunity to do out there. I mean, St. Joe's game, he had like 4 or 5 pass attempts, and I think he was like, only had 1 incompletion, but he also had like a 40-yard touchdown run. That was huge, especially for his confidence too. I know it's hard, probably just being behind me. So we tried to get him at like wide receiver, defense, special teams, and just trying to get him on the field because he's a really strong athlete.
Yep.
So just finding ways to get him on the field, it's huge. And next year he's gonna have a full season to himself. So
this season, we look at the Monsignor Martin, and it's nowhere near as strong as it's been in years past, right? St. Joe's is having a down year. They're rebuilding. Yeah. It's almost, they have, 22 underclassmen on that team.
Yeah, a lot of sophomores.
You got a big game coming against St. Francis. We don't want to talk about that one just yet. You guys have Erie this week? Is that
Massillon?
You have Massillon this week? Okay. Ohio?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys going there, or are they coming here?
Yeah, so we're going there tomorrow night, and we play Friday night.
What do you know about this team?
Well, these guys they're pretty tough. I mean, it's the birthplace of high school football.
Did his homework.
Yeah, they're a really good team. They have a lot of really good athletes, a lot of Division I football players on the team. Obviously, they're really well coached. But we got a really special team this year, and obviously our coaches, they're spending more time at the school than we are. You know, like they're there all day on Sunday, away from their families and away from the Bills game, and they're preparing us for that game. So they have a really good game plan going in, and I think it's gonna be a really good game.
So they call them Washington.
Oh yeah, Washington, Mass.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then you've got Erie after that on the
Erie,
15th, another away game.
And you'll get a chance to see good film on them as they play St. Francis this week.
Yeah, that was the Erie game. We're gonna get a lot of good film, and the Cathedral Prep versus St. Francis game. That was a good one too.
So I got a chance to see you actually at that St. Joe's game, right? Second play of the game, you take off, right? You run for, I think it was an 80-yard touchdown.
The Maritime game.
The Maritime, I apologize.
Yeah.
The Maritime game, yes. Yeah. So you took off, you ran for 80 yards in that one, right?
Yeah.
And then later on, I think you had a 60-yard pass play, right?
Yeah.
So you obviously are a threat right now, running the ball or with the arm. When do you know, or what are you looking for that's going to tell you now's the time to take off, or that I've got to sit in this pocket and be able to find that open man? What are you looking for to tell you to go one to the other?
Well, a lot of it is just in the defense. So being able to read the defense helps a lot. I feel like my sophomore year I was just kind of running around. That was my second read was just to run, you know. But now I'm going through progressions and I'm going reading 1, 2 to 3, and if it breaks down, it breaks down. So a lot of it, if sometimes I can audible, I have the opportunity to audible to design quarterback runs or different plays. So, for instance, like the McKeesport game, we were calling a screen pass to the wide receiver. They were just in straight man, and I saw they were bringing a lot of guys, and we had a running back in protection. And I knew that I could just take off for a QB draw, so I called an audible at the line, and got like 16 yards off a QB draw. So a lot of that is just reading the defense, and a lot of my players, like receivers, they'll call it hots too, so helps out a lot.
And I know you're saying you did a lot of work with two coaches right there, right? Yeah. Outside of your fantastic coaching staff that's in there. And if I'm correct, some of the things they like to do the most is sit in front of that computer and really diagnose and really go through plays. Do you feel that you're learning just as much of that way as you are actually out in the field?
Well, yeah. I'm doing every week. I'm doing a film breakdown with Coach Kubiak. So he's breaking down the defense for me, and we're getting prepared for every game. So we break that down, and he really helps me read like the coverages and where the weaknesses are, and like if a corner is faking a zone but actually he's running man, he'll show me that, and then I'll know going on the field. So I feel really prepared each week going to every game. So it's a lot of thanks to Coach Kubiak helping me with that.
Yeah, he's worked with a lot of the top quarterbacks, as you know, that's come out of this area, and I know he does tons of film work. And everyone I've always talked to has always come back and said to me, "You don't know how valuable this is to me, because when you get on the field, it's like second nature. It's like, oh yeah, well that's exactly what he's talking about, and then you're able to process it and do what you got to do to make that big play." Yeah,
well the game just slows down too, especially when as a quarterback you have to know like what everyone's doing every play. You have to know the defense, and if you can know how to read the defense correctly, you're going to be in a better spot.
Well, we're going to cut to another a longer break, and we appreciate touchdown Tyler Baker coming on with us today. We'll see him, I think, week 8 against St. Francis Town.
We're going to do everything we can to cover that game. I'll tell you that one.
That should be the next one we'll be at. That's in St. Francis. That's at Athol Springs, is it not?
Yes, I think so. Yep.
All right, maybe I think they'll make room for us in the press box. I know the guys at Stransky would.
I hope that. I'm sure they've done a great job as we're going back there again to cover the Erie game this week. So
cool.
Awesome. Well, Tyler, thanks again for joining us. We'll be back in just a little bit. You're watching WNY High School Football Weekly.
Thank you.
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com, ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. A few clicks will show you the sales price you can expect for your home. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. So if it's time to sell your home, visit howardhanna.com today, and we'll match you with a local Howard Hanna agent to sell your home fast.
I love being home.
If you've been injured in an auto accident, large or small, call 681-4088. RES Physical Medicine and Rehab right away. If you are in pain or just sore, don't take chances. Call RES today and take advantage of their 24 to 48-hour appointment pledge. With no copays, RES will help navigate the confusing world of no-fault insurance with you, so you can concentrate on getting better. 681-4088. RES Physical Medicine and Rehab. The most important call you can make after an auto accident.
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you. Western New York Immediate Care provides quick, quality care for non-emergent injuries and illnesses. Go to wnyImmediatecare.com for more information.
Welcome back to WNY High School Football Weekly. I am Frank Wolf, joined by Tom Prince. We just had Touchdown Tyler Baker. I call him Touchdown Tyler Baker. Is that embarrassing, you think?
I'm sure he likes that one because it's absolutely positive and it's what he's trying to do. So
I wanted to bust his chops on where his favorite lunch spot is. Elmwood Taco, that's like a Canisius thing.
Why do we always got to go down on food?
Why not? Why not? Anyways, it was a pleasure talking to that young man. He's a good kid, and I'm looking forward to see what his future holds. And I love when he, puts on there where he's heading next. Robert Morris or Monmouth, those schools like that. Robert Morris, we had that Markel Fluids heading there.
Yep.
So I got to check and see.
I want to say that's where Josh Dahl went to at Orchard Park, also where he landed.
Okay.
He went to a prep school, and then from there. So, but listen, I know we're on time, so you want to go right to the Bees here?
Yeah. Oh, let me do my Connolly Cup, guys, while you're pulling up your stats for B. Your Connolly Cup Ad Pro Sports Week 5 nominees were Cade, Anastasia, Olean, Ben Anderson, Jamestown, Trent, Burchanowski, CSP, Chase Brahman from Newfane, Jacob Coburn made the list from Kenmore East. He had a huge day. Demeek Dennis, Kenmore West, Kyer Eaglin, Burgard. Nice to see a Burgard Bulldog make that list. Dylan Evans, OP. Max Graves, Will South, Tyrone Hughes, McKinley, Scotty Raymond from Clarence, Sean Sansone, Williamsville East. I know they're having a tough season at East, but he's had a lot of good weeks, so I'm glad to see Sansone got on there. Will Schiller, Maryville, Matt Sweet, Eden North Collins, Jordan Theodore from Sweet Home. That dude's a baller. He's been like one of the top players in A. I know Butera's the name that comes to mind in all over Western York, but this Jordan Theodore is a special player to watch. Look for him on Saturday when they play McKinley. And then Kytron from Lockport.
Had a big game.
Is that his name?
Kytron, yep.
Okay. So those are your Connolly Cup Ad Pro Sports Week 5 top performers. Now, after this week, you'll be able to get nominated again. So up until through this last week, you're only able to get on there once. But now that we're in Week 6, you could start being nominated again. So you're going to start seeing some of the same names like Butera and those guys. Yeah. If they have monster games, they'll jump on them.
Coburn, 142 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yes. And by the way, the number 2 receiver in Western New York between the two Orchard Park guys.
The problem is they just don't win any games there, or too many games, if any games. So, but Kenmore East, they had a ball game with McKinley, 30-28 the final score.
And by the way,
quarterback.
The quarterback is Azari Adunage.
That's McKinley, but you have the Kenmore East quarterback?
Gio Munisteri.
Yeah, he came in for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And by the way, the McKinley guy that we were talking about earlier, the 6'6" player, that's Kevin Borden, who went for 2 receptions, 95 yards and a touchdown. Had a touchdown in the game against Starpoint, too, that we just did that went for 50 yards, too.
So our Trench Trophy guys from this past week, Joe Cicchini from Medina, Jack Foster, Amherst, Jonah Fox, Silver Creek, Trayvon Copta from Kleiman, Sherman, Panama, Alex Paluch from Fredonia, Jacob Roberts, Iroquois, and then Jimmy the Bear Scott, St. Francis. That's a dude who's going to be wanting to chase him down. He's going to chase down Baker. He's going to want to.
And everybody remember, Trench Trophy Award winners are seniors only.
Yes, it is. But Jimmy Scott, he was a running back, and now he's defensive line, and he's just a beast. And I believe he's the one of the kids heading to West Virginia. Or is it Pitt?
I thought it was Pitt. Yeah,
he's going to Pitt with our other Eddie Copeland from Western York Maritime, who we're going to start seeing a little bit more of now that they're on that schedule of where they're going to start really showing who they are. But we'll get into that. Let's talk about some of these B teams. Maritime, big win over Cheektowaga. It was a tough game. Hard-hitting game. It featured everything. I mean, you had Warburton taking off and doing damage, but they just
Fortunately, there was a big injury in that game.
Yes. Poor kid.
Yep, for Cheektowaga. Their quarterback, unfortunately, looks like he broke his collarbone and will be out.
Now, who are those, besides Warburton, who's that other running back for Cheektowaga? Because I believe he's also the quarterback now.
So unfortunately, they didn't put any stats in for this week, so we didn't get any stats
Who
for
didn't
either
put him
one.
in? Cheektowaga?
Either one.
Cheektowaga, let's go. This is not your first rodeo. Maritime, not your first rodeo. You guys got it. Maritime, Cheektowaga, West Seneca East. There's a couple others. Get your stats in on the website. You're not helping anybody out.
West Seneca East put him out there, so I want
West Seneca East. I take that back.
They put him out there. We have full updates for West Seneca East. It was great to see that. So no,
I'm going to do 50 push-ups after the show for that mistake.
So you want to talk about Cheektowaga? At least it's Warburton, but it's Jalen Henlon is the other rusher for Cheektowaga, who's the number 2 rusher right there, and it was Matt Barr, who unfortunately was the quarterback who got hurt.
Okay. So Cheektowaga not down and out just yet. There's schedule remaining, and for Cheektowaga, Tom, that Newport game was canceled. It'll come back to them at the end of the year, but they get Albion. Now they really have to. I mean, they got to take care of business. They got to beat this Albion team. They're not out of it just yet.
And this Albion team's for real. They're going to be coming in undefeated there.
Yep. So looking at that Class B in the standings there, Tom.
But I'll tell you, the game I thought was the Iroquois that we did, Iroquois Pioneer. You talked a little bit about the Sweet Home game versus North Tonawanda. Yeah. And what you said what North Tonawanda did was controlled the clock, made sure that they had it for the entire first quarter. Pioneer did the exact same thing, controlled everything on the ground, kept the ball out of Kleitz's hands is exactly what they did. Their 2 running backs, Jack Bunsey, goes for 28 carries, 118 yards and a touchdown, and Jaden Okamvilasak goes for 15 carries, 122 yards and a touchdown, where Pioneer just really controlled this game and kept it as a really close game. They really did. But listen, the one mistake they made, they left 3 minutes on the clock for Trey Kleitz to do what he does best.
Yes.
And Trey Kleitz comes down and comes back and does exactly what he does best and wins the game.
Southwestern 2.0, right?
Yeah. I mean, it unbelievable what he's done. He throws for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 4 carries for 21 yards and a touchdown. And again, Mccoldrick, 3 receptions, 74 yards and a touchdown. And Pete Gaglio, 2 receptions, 89 yards and a touchdown.
So we're talking that's the B South Division, West Seneca East also at 5-0. And is that the game that we're doing Friday night?
Yep,
so we're doing that game at Iroquois Friday night, West Seneca East and Iroquois, the Trojans and the Chiefs. That's a big one. Olean's starting to win, Tom. I think they got 2 wins in a row.
You talked about one of the Conley Cup winners this week was
Pioneer.
For Olean,
yeah,
was Cade Anastasia.
Yes.
He had 2 receptions, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that game for Olean. They have Jameson Pittman, their running back, 114 yards and a touchdown. And then Dunkirk, we know the name Javier De Jesus, who goes for 62 yards passing the ball and then carried it for 8 yards, 23 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was really high up on this Dunkirk team. I know they've had some issues to deal with out the field with COVID and everything, but they just lost to Pioneer. They were shut out by Pioneer. I'll
tell you, this Pioneer team is good. But I'll tell you, we got a chance to see them.
But can they throw the ball?
Well, but they don't need to, and they did when they had to. They did, but what happened, I think, in the West Seneca East game that you went and saw them at, you watched 2 teams that mirrored each other the way they played.
Exact same team, and
it just happened to be that East won that game and won the battle as far as what it needed to do to control the ball.
So, and you're talking B North. You got Albion, Maritime, and Cheektowaga there. Maryville wants something to say about that. They're sitting at 2-1 in the league. They got a couple big league games coming up, including
they got Maritime on Thursday.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the game that that's a big game for them. Obviously, that's a huge game. And then B South, we talk about East, Iroquois, Olean, Pioneer still in the mix there. So we'll have to wait and see how things shape up. We're heading down, and then in our C division, Medina, Akron, Wilson. Still clawing, still fighting. Depew, Lackawanna, Eden, North Collins, 3 teams there in the Central. And then Tom, South. How about Fredonia, man? Big win over Salamanca. You were there. We talked a little bit about the game Nick Whitfield had. But now they get Southwestern. And Southwestern coming in at 2-1. Fredonia 3-0. I mean, that's the game of the week right there as far as the C division is concerned.
One more thing about that Salamanca game. Their running back, Matthew Lauder,
yeah.
He didn't have a carry in the first half? It was all Whitfield.
Of course,
unbelievable.
I was watching the broadcast.
Right? But Lauder, still in the second half, runs for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half himself. They were two totally different teams on how they controlled the clock from the first half to the second half, and really shows they are more than one-dimensional. They could go both ways. They could do the passing game. They could run the ball. Unbelievable what this team really is.
Well, they made some halftime adjustments.
Yep. And Stallman for Solid making the kid's the real deal.
Oh, he's a tough kid.
Right? 23 kids, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. He is a beast. You saw him. He constantly would get hit at the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard or two, past the line of scrimmage, and he was just constantly fighting for every single yard that he got out there. Great kid to watch.
So in that C-South, you got a 4-team race there, technically. Fredonia, Cassadaga Valley, who we're going to talk about a little bit in just a second here. Southwestern still very much in the mix. And then Salamanca. Cassadaga Valley gets Chautauqua Lake. They are 2-0 right now, 2 in the league, 2-0, 3-1 overall. I think their only loss was the CSP the opening week, but they're about to run a gauntlet here to some degree, Tom. Chautauqua Lake, I don't think they've won a game yet. If they might have won one, but if you're Cassadaga Valley, you have to go to Fredonia next Saturday. That's a 7 p.m. Saturday night, the 16th. Michael, what are we doing next Saturday? Can we go down to the Orange Bowl? Yes. Woohoo! All right, Michael, we're heading down to the Orange Bowl next Saturday, 7 p.m. We're going to check out Fredonia, Cassadaga Valley. But guess what? After that, they get Southwestern the next week. So Cassadaga Valley got to beat Chautauqua Lake, and then they got to roll the dice against Fredonia. And can you imagine those coaching staffs? You got Dan Greco and Kurt Fisher coming up from Cassadaga Valley to take on the Sherlocks in Fredonia. So, that's going to be an awesome game right there. I can tell you right now. And we're heading down there, buddy. All right? We're going down. You got a birthday party that night? Cancel it. No. Cancel it. We're going down to Fredonia. Anyways, in the D's, Tom, Randolph gets by Portville. That's a big league win for them. And then CSP, how in the world they beat St. Mary's? We're beating that like a dead horse, but they did.
Turnovers. That's that's the secret right there. And that was their recipe for the win right there. And it was, Trent Burchanowski, who's the running back right now for CSP, 16 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Wilnick, 2 receptions, 17 yards, 2 touchdowns. We talked about Hinsdale with 2.5 tackles, 2 interceptions. Trayvon Copta, 9 tackles, 2 sacks in that game too, which shows that they were getting through and be able to make some impact on the line. And their quarterback only threw for 32 yards, but 2 touchdowns. So you could see those were all in the red zone is where those came. He was throwing the ball in the red zone for those touchdowns to Wilnick.
Wow, yeah, Wilnick's a big receiver for them. Tough kid too.
But Lewis still goes for 157 yards and a touchdown for St. Mary's.
Well, there's no stopping him.
He is just,
no
unbelievable.
All right, we are going to, let's see. I'm heading down. I'm going to catch the second half, Franklinville, Elkville, CSP. As long as things are going accordingly in Hamburg, Jamestown, I'll be able to get down there for the second half. So give me a good parking space down there. Paul Madeira, I know you're down there. I know you're the PA guy. Do me a favor. Just block a spot for me. Put a couple cones up. I'll slide in there real quick. You won't even know I'm there. So if you can hook me up with a nice parking space, I'd really appreciate it. You people down there in Franklinville, Elkville. Yeah. You think? You think they can hook me up?
Oh, I'm sure they will. It's Frank Wolf. Why wouldn't they hook up Frank Wolf? That's the man. The man, the myth, and the legend. He's coming down, guys.
All right. I feel better now. We were talking about our Freak of the Week here. I know Tyler Baker was in earlier. I think he won week 3, our Freak of the Week. Coachella guy last week had a couple quarterbacks. Yep. So who had the big weeks, Tom?
This week?
Yeah, we had the kid from Will North. We know Whitfield had a huge week.
Yep, Whitfield had a huge week for Fredonia. Yep. Green with Lockport had a big week. The Will North, Kendall Donovan, 12 carries, 225 yards, 4 touchdowns. Bennett had a big week. Yep. You had a bunch of running backs that went huge. We actually had 4 running backs go over 200 yards. Joining them was Colton Baker of Springville, 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Xander Hine does it again, too, for Randolph.
Yeah, I thought, Tom, with what we've seen, what I saw Thursday night just carried me through this. So I think we both agreed that, Nick Whitfield was more than deserving of this week's Freak of the Week.
Yep.
What he did in Salamanca was just nuts. I mean, it was a great game, good team, tough, just a tough Salamanca Warriors team, and Nick Whitfield just showed why he's one of the best in Western New York. I was blown away by the performance. That other kid from Will North, 4 touchdowns. What's his name again? I forgot his name. I apologize.
It's Kendall Donovan.
Kendall, he another real nice player. Allen from Bennett, real nice player. But my choice, our choice, I should say, for the Logistics Plus Freak of the Week is Nick Whitfield from Fredonia. We'll be getting a trophy out to you as soon as we get them done. And
You even saw when we interviewed Coach at Salamanca at halftime. He goes, "This quarterback's really, you got to give this quarterback credit." He even said it at halftime during his interview. Just shows how good you're getting respect like that in the coach in the middle of the game.
So that'll do it for this week's episode of WNY High School Football Weekly. Again, Thursday night, you're going to be doing Lakeshore
and Olean on Thursday.
Yep.
Friday, I am going to go watch the
Luke?
Clarence Orchard Park game.
Okay.
Because of the implications that are there. And then Saturday, I will be at St. Francis to do the St. Francis Erie game on Saturday.
Okay, so also Friday night, we're doing Pioneer, West Seneca East, Jamestown, Hamburg. On Saturday,
No, Iroquois, West Seneca East.
Iroquois, West Seneca East, Jamestown, Hamburg, and then Saturday, Sweet Home, McKinley at All High, and then you're doing the St. Francis game. So that's your schedule. Don't forget Friday night, the Friday night final drive with Francis Beck. He'll be here in studio Friday, taking your calls, your questions on Facebook Live. Get on that show. That's a very good, informative high school football show. He talks to guys from around the league. It's very cool. I love the job that Francis does there.
You hear about every single game in Western New York. If you truly enjoy, Western New York high school football, you want to watch this show. Francis does a fantastic job.
Heidi, you got anything to add for the end of the show here before we wrap things up?
Nope.
You sure?
I'm positive.
That's why we pay you the big bucks.
That's right.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you very much to our show sponsors, Howard Hanna, Immediate Care, WNY Athletics, Logistics Plus, Paul Wolf Insurance. All you guys out there, thank you very much. Michael, you did a great job today sitting there.
We had him on camera at one point.
Don't hit that power button.
When I was over there, he was on camera with me.
Don't hit the power button. All right. We'll see you next week on WNY High School Football Weekly.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Being home.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Being home.